Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah. My respected viewers, thank you very much for your comments. I'm very happy finding a lot of comments from part one on PhD Viva guidance from pre-applied linguistics group on the Facebook and then YouTube video. You liked it, most of you. First hour I got 172 comments. That's why that motivated me a lot to prepare part two, because many things were left I could not explain in the first part. I think the things which were remaining, according to my point of view, I noted that some questions. So some questions, because when I read the comments, I came back to the questions, and after 7 hours now, almost people watched this YouTube video, the part one for PhD Viva guide, which was given in the part one. Almost 43 hours videos were watched on YouTube. So that's very nice. And 11 more subscribers I got. Thank you very much. I will again request to subscribe this channel. I think maybe previous when I was writing and discussing something on on the politics of Pakistan, I stopped now because I don't have enough time. Many people are writing, but because writing PhD Viva guidance, very less people are doing it. That's why more views, more comments. So the questions which were asked, I'm not able to answer all the questions, but I'm able to answer some questions which are important and relevant to PhD Viva guide part two now. First question was asked by Mr. Mukhtar. He said he is in University of Modern Languages, National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad. And this is his 11th year, and now this Viva is due now, maybe in the coming 3-4 months or maybe late. I think the process in Pakistan is right from the beginning of career, when almost 34 years ago, I was in a Pakistani university, not on a teaching position. I was in the administration when I passed my master in English in 1989 from Islamic University of Bahawalpur, one of the best universities in Bahawalpur. He did foundation many institutions in Bahawalpur, and he made it a great educational city. So then my career, 23 years teaching in Saudi universities, teaching in Omani University, Omani College, and teaching in PhD studies, teaching in Malaysian college. And before PhD, I was teaching in Malaysia for some time, and teaching in the Republic of Maldives. And sometimes I was in the University of Kyiv, Ukraine, in the early career age. And few months I taught in Libyan University. I taught in 4 Saudi universities. Anyhow, I go back because this lecture is about PhD Viva Guide Part 2 by Free Applied Linguistics group on our Facebook. Do not forget to subscribe, please. The first question was asked by this guy who is a student in National University of Modern Languages. How do I prepare for a PhD Viva? I think for me, I have few tips I have given in the previous video also. First, I will say, you are the author of your thesis. You know better what you have written in your thesis. You are the best presenter of your PhD thesis. So that's why you can only know what is the introduction section. You have the best citations for the referencing, and you have stated the problem statement best way. What is your problem statement? And what is the literature review? How much literature review you have gone through? What the theoretical framework we have discussed, and also conceptual framework we have discussed. You know your study according to research questions and variables. What is the conceptual framework of your study? You know better. And understand what's expected of you. A Viva work is an oral test, which literally translated means with the living voice, and you must know your thesis inside out all, you know. Anticipate the Viva questions by yourself. You know the Viva questions. Your supervisor has already guided you. But we here can give you some tips about, I'm going to give today 12 very important Viva questions and their answers today. Answers can be varied because PhD on different subjects. My subject is applied linguistics, and maybe some other those who are applied linguistics can enjoy. I can give an example from my subject, but others can also use, because Viva, the main guidance is the same for all, everywhere in the world. Whatever you are going to present, it's physics, it's computer science, it's Islamic studies, it's Urdu, it's a language, it's applied linguistics, it's the English literature, whatever it is. So I will ask you to learn about your examiner's own work. Okay. Plan toward the Viva exam, because you already have gone through pre-Viva. You know, in pre-Viva, your examiners, they ask you a lot of questions, and you made a correction, and now you are at this stage, you're going doing it. I mean, many comments about how to prepare for pre-Viva. Many my viewers, they have asked me, I should present on pre-Viva. So let me finish Viva videos, because I have to prepare 5 to 6 parts of Viva video. Then I will go for the pre-Viva. Okay, and somebody was asking me, she was my student in the coursework in university in Punjab province, and now she has her, I think she was asking about MPhil Viva. So let us finish first 5, 6 parts of PhD, then we go for pre-Viva. First let us finish Viva, and then pre-Viva, then we go for MPhil. And also some comments that some students are doing master in English. So they asked me that I should have lessons for them according to the syllabus. There is a unanimous syllabus among all universities, which we are going to touch in our next coming videos when we finish these things for master in English. So second question was, is PhD Viva a formality? I don't think it's a formality. Basically, the Viva work examination is an important part of examination process. It would be a grave mistake to think that it is a mere formality. I think so. No, you should be very serious about it, because this is what you are going to defend. You have to defend. It is a real examination whose outcome will affect the decision about the award or non-award of the degree. So that's very important. And PhD is also a very important degree. So other question was, what questions are asked in a PhD Viva? Please explain in detail. I told you I have today prepared 12 questions. Their answers. Generally, these questions vary from subject to subject. Maybe sometimes some subjects but the stomach is the same. Okay. Commonly, for example, commonly asked PhD Viva questions and how to answer them. For example, you can tell me about yourself. What is the reason for selecting the research question? For example, you have a 6 research questions, 7 research questions. They can ask you why you have research question number 7. Somebody has objection on research question number 3. So you have to define it. You know why you have chosen it. What is the key focus of your research? So you know what is the key for. It's a theoretical framework. It's a research problem. You want to solve it. Okay, the population you have chosen. Do the research process go as per your plan, or were there any unexpected circumstances that you had to deal with? So this type of questions generally I'm discussing. Okay, next question by Afreen Iqbal. She told me that she is a student of University of Punjab. How do I pass a PhD interview? Okay, you called Viva an interview. Oh yeah, there's a type of interview because you are face to face or you're online. You are doing a type of interview. Here are some, I think, ideas in my mind to prepare for your Viva, which you call it interview. Review your research proposal or a statement of purpose. Be prepared to talk about your research interest in detail, special research questions. Think about your motivation for pursuing a PhD. You are having a unique topic, PhD on a point or a topic which is unique. Nobody has already researched on it. You are the first one who is doing it. And read your potential supervisor's work. What she has specialization. When your supervisor is appointed, maybe she has a specialization. For example, you are doing PhD in writing. So maybe you are allotted a supervisor who has already worked a lot on writing. Her PhD was on writing. So this can be the relevance of supervisor. There can be many other type of relevance, but I'm explaining only one. Familiarize yourself with current scholarships in the field. Yeah, but if you have got a scholarship, you have to familiarize why you were given a scholarship for 3 months, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. So they accommodated you. There was a reason they want this topic to be addressed. Very important topic was given to you. Another question asked by Javed Iqbal. He said he is a teacher in Oman. He's doing his PhD from a Metropolitan University of UK. What happens after PhD Viva? It's a very unique question because everybody knows PhD Viva is very important after PhD Viva. You are relaxed. So there are 6 outcomes of PhD Viva according to my opinion. Uh, there can be more than 6, but I think pass without corrections. That's the first result of Viva. Okay, that's the best result. If you have not given any correction, then you pass. Pass subject to minor corrections. If you have passed PhD with minor correction, also good. Minor means a few corrections, and then you are submitting your thesis, hardbound thesis, and you get the degree. When it is approved by the Senate of the university. Because every university has a Senate, they approve your thesis and then. Number 3 is pass subject to major corrections. So that's the problem. Because when you are given major corrections, this means you need time. And there is a major correction maybe in literature review you have to go, methodology you have to add something more. There was some lack of data collection or research questions which you need to change, whatever it can be. Or recommendations, they need more to enhance discussion part, they think is a short, you have to enhance it. So sometimes it happens that some universities they do it with some candidates, downgrade to MPhil with no amendments. When I was doing my English language teaching diploma in Bahadur Zikri University of Multan, one of my lady teachers, I heard, I don't want to mention the name, maybe later on she passed PhD. I have not been in touch with her in the last 2 3 years, but I saw her 3 years ago when I was just only for a week in Pakistan on a dive when she had Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam with me. When she was teaching me in 92 English language teaching diploma in Harvard University in Nepal, she came with an MPhil degree. I think this was the result. Downgrade to MPhil with no amendment. So sometimes it happens, downgrade to MPhil subject to amendments, it can be happen, or the worst result, number 6, last. What is the worst result? Immediate fail. It very less happens, but it happens in some of the universities. Next question, very hard questions, by Javed Iqbal. Anyhow, next question from Toshiba Sami. She said, how do you present a PhD? I need your guidance to do me. I'm very near to my PhD Viva. Okay, start with the broad introduction. Take the audience in a journey through your work in logical order. Logical order means title of the PPT. Next number part 3 of PhD Viva work guidance part 3. I'm going to discuss with you a video, a PPT video, the PPT that is already used for a PhD Viva. I'm going to share with you. And how do you, for example, you should have a title page, your thesis title, and your name, name of the university. Some universities have their own PPTs, colors and monograms. So then introduction, what is your problem, research problem, some quotations, citations like this, and methodology. Then you go for before methodology, what literature review you have done. Then methodology, and after that you go for results. How will you do the results? How have you done the results? What are the results according to the variables, according to the research questions? And then what are the recommendations? What is the conclusion? So these parts you have to get PPT. With next video I will discuss in part 3 PPT of a defended thesis that was defended very well. And then I think when I am talking about you, that we say, how do you present the PhD? This is the way I'm asking you. First you put in PPT, and then when you start presenting, you do the practice in front of the mirror, in front of your friend. We sit in the workstation, and I was sitting in the workstation with my friends, asking them, I'm going to present. I think that you are my examiner. Two friends, one is outer, one is external, one is internal. We're doing the practice like this way. So it's not a joke, it's a serious thing. So then let your audience know that you have finished by saying something like, thanks for your attention. I would be happy to answer any question. Don't just stop talking and stare at the audience. Don't be afraid of the question at the end of the presentation. Ask. I would welcome you for questions. Then I think next question is from this is a minor question, but I included it because one of the Rifat Iqbal, one of the students of I think that is she's a university, she's a student of I think Peshawar University, is a PhD, a big achievement. This is her question. Reality, your PhD is highly valuable, lasting achievement. Even PhDs might fall for this one. Okay, the more demand there is for innovation in science and technology, the more valuable PhDs become. Employers know your PhD is an incredibly valuable. Okay, so that's why PhDs, when you have PhD, you're a doctor, you have a high salary. Even after 60 years, when you finish your government job, you are valuable for a private job. Try to understand. So next question from a student of Hamdard University, Karachi. She's asking that she's doing a PhD in education. What are the PhD examiners looking for? This is her question, a very valuable question. Okay, as academic reader, they favor a thesis that engages with the literature. This you must understand, okay? Has a convincing approach in the analysis and engages with the findings. Findings, very important. And which is what we have discussed in chapter 1, what we have discussed in chapter 2. These citations should match your finding, and you should, in the finding, you should give some, whatever you discussed there in first and second chapter, your findings should also show the same citations, some same citations, and which is publishable. In fact, being publishable and making a contribution to the literature are the most important things that examiners look for. So, for example, it's a PhD is a big study. There was a scientist from Japan who just finished 7 or 8 research papers on intermittent hunger, and he got a Nobel Prize because that was a unique study. So it depends, and it's also luck. Okay, I have more than 25 publications on applied linguistics, theoretical, connecting to reading skill. Out of them, 15 published and 14, 15 published, and the rest of them are accepted. They will be published because some journals have 6 months, some journals have 3 months, some journals have once a year, some are bi-monthly. So that's why slowly, it's not easy to publish in Scopus and Web of Science. They give you a tough time. Correction. Next question from Habiba Ansari. She told me she's a student of University of Karachi. What are Viva questions? Viva questions. In the fourth video, I will discuss 50 Viva questions. It can be unlimited, but during Viva, you have limited time. For example, presentation, you have only 10 to 12 minutes or 15 minutes in some universities. So the questions are relevant to your thesis. So, but I will discuss in the fourth video 50 questions. But maybe during Viva, you have, according to your thesis, maybe 8, 9, 10, I think. So a Viva simply means a university examination during which students answer questions in speech, and these questions are commonly based on a particular project or discipline. Viva questions are an important part of an academic program and often take place at the conclusion of a semester or a year, after a year, although Viva questions can vary. Okay? They commonly focus on 4 aspects, as I think, what the project is about. So this you must know. What were the key findings or observations? So that's very important. You know your thesis, you know your research, you know your finding and observation. What was the question properly? Okay, then this blog is most read by you. You know your questions, you know the answers, how you answered them during discussion in the chapter 4. Some universities have this chapter 5, 6, conclusion or recommendation. So how you got the recommendations. So I think here, because most of the questions were about how many Viva questions, what are the Viva questions, most of 80% are this time. Today I'm going to discuss 10 most important Viva questions with answers, okay? For example, whether you are a PhD or even if you are a school student, Viva exams are equally tough for everybody. If I ask my son, younger son, I call him IT expert because he's preparing my YouTube videos and thumbnails and uploading them. Elder one is very busy in his job in Pakistan Air Force. But if he has Viva grade 7 or grade 6, he's worried. So PhD is high level. But don't worry, we have a solution to calm you down. With our guidance, here are 5 commonly asked questions with answers. I think number 1, summarize your project thesis research in 3 minutes, okay, yourself. To answer the question correctly, you need to be well versed with the entire project. Start with an answer by explaining why did you select the topic of your project, thesis or research, okay, and close your explanation by providing an optimum solution to the problem, okay? So that's very important. Number 2, what is the strength and weakness of your research? That's very important. You must know. Carefully analyze the strength and weakness of your research while answering. Make sure you talk about your weakness also and not only your strengths, okay? What makes your thesis work original? That's very important. While answering, keep in mind what was known before and what you have added as part of being awarded your PhD is to contribute novel knowledge, okay? Elaborate on how your findings relate to literature in your field. That's very important question. Most of the examiners, they ask this question. Explain how your findings connect with the literature review of your project, and what its contribution are in terms of field of your research. Does it further expand the literature? Does it highlight some new observations? Does it add the literature in this field answer these main questions and prepare yourself. Chapter 1, chapter 2, where you have presented the literature. So what type of contribution to the field your research can present. Also, if you say, tell me about yourself, talk about yourself and your areas of interest, focus on the areas you are extremely positive about, talk about your past achievements and what brings you to this position. Keep it professional. For example, somebody asks me, I'm interested in applied linguistics, but I'm also interested in language skills. Also, I'm interested in accent and grammar, and also English literature, my favorite subject. Summarize your key findings. I think that's a better way for this common Viva question. If they ask you during your PhD Viva, focus on what you observed and found through your research project, how it connects with your hypothesis. That's very important because experimental research has hypothesis as well as what concluded through the research. So mixed method research also maybe sometimes you have some. So you have to do highlight the strong and weak areas of your research. Okay, mention the strength first and elaborate on how they connect with the key finding. Then you can underline the weak areas and the factors that could have been transformed into strengths. So that's very important in your research. Now, go to the next expected question. What were the major motivations behind this research? So that's also very important. Focus on what inspired you to carry out this research and cite certain instances which help you select this topic as well as field for your project. It's the same, for example, when I'm helping my neighbors, when I'm in my city in Pakistan. So the main motive is the poor should get the bread and there should be nobody sleep hunger. And this is the behind the motivation, okay? And to help the people, okay? And when I'm going to, for example, clean my house, and I don't like garbage in my front of my house, so the others should see, and the whole street should be clean, okay? Because cleanliness is the religion of Islam, so the half religion of Islam. So motivation is something maybe you find a topic, you wanted to research on it because there's a motivation behind it. Elucidate the process of evaluation. Elaborate on how you evaluate the key findings in your research. What were the key factors involved? Whether the evaluation process that faced some obstacles, how it could have been better. That what was the reason you choose a particular process of evaluation? That's very reason. For example, you have mixed method. Why you want to evaluate to a mixed method? If you have only a survey, why not an experimental and an observation? They can ask. So that's why they can ask. What is the key focus of this research? You know your research. You know what is the key focus. So while answering this, keep this is the last question I'm discussing. Keep a summarized version of your research in your mind. Then talk about the area of primary focus of research. In order to demonstrate that your research is viable, it is essential to identify some of the key questions that it addresses. That's enough for all. I have discussed expected question which I received. Next, I'm going to tell you guide about the part 3, how to prepare a PPT slide for your, what is important to keep in PPT slide for a PhD Viva book. And then the last part, I will have all questions I will collect from the viewers on the YouTube, Facebook, Insta. You're watching my video on Twitter and also LinkedIn. So I will compile almost 50 important questions. Then I will try to answer these questions or just elaborating them. So you must know these are the questions can be asked. Thank you very much. Do not forget to subscribe my video for today. And also in the comments, tell me if you like it. If you see some drawbacks, do not forget to tell me. Allah Hafiz. Tata. Bye bye.